Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Global Reality. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is Monday, January 14th, 2019. Thank you very much for being here and listening and tuning in. It's good to be back with you here. I wanted to drop in for a minute and give you some updates, talk about a few things with you here. For those of you who aren't aware, my current project that I've been working on over the past month or so has been my new three-part presentation of information I recently came across and all this new stuff that I put together that just had to absolutely get out before the other film projects and whatnot. If you haven't seen this presentation yet, I highly advise you to do so immediately. Volume 3, or part 3 rather, of the three-part series is now out. I originally thought it was going to be 5 hours and 40 minutes. I actually ended up clocking in well over 6 hours, with part 2 clocking in at 2 hours and 7 minutes. I was hoping to have this out a week ago. Part 3 rather, we had part 1 and part 2 already out. Part 3 I was expecting to have out sooner than this. But when I got to do the final part, mysteriously, of course, as this sometimes happens, the last hour or so of the audio, strangely, was completely hosed. And it shouldn't have been. Because what was interesting is all the data was there, like the file. That's the reason I didn't catch it before this, because the file was the right length and everything. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen an audio file record properly. It was all there. I verified it, after I'd got done recording it and listened back to it. Everything was there. And somehow, before I got ready to do the last part of it, part of the audio file was there. The rest of it was just gone. And I tried going back and restoring it, trying to see what I could do. It was all gone. So I had to end up going back and doing all that stuff again. And it's, it's very difficult, because it's different than doing a film, where with a film, everything's scripted out and, you just read from the script and do the voiceover till you get it right. Whereas with this presentation, I was doing it more, I was doing it actually live, like I would do this radio show, just recording the voiceover part and then going back and editing pictures and video and stuff on top of it. So I had to go back and do all that stuff again by memory. But my point is, part 3 is out. If you've seen part 1 and part 2 already, part 3 is now out. It's now available. Go and get it. There'll be links here in this show for you to find it in the comments and everywhere on the in the archives, in the YouTube video, in the comment section, everywhere. You can also find it at my Facebook pages, the Global Reality Radio Network Facebook page, and the Josh Reeves Filmmaker Talk Show Host Explorer page. You can find all the links there. Go and get that sucker now. Do not sleep on this, folks. There is some unbelievable information in this presentation that, frankly, I'm still flabbergasted about. I just can't, I can't even fucking believe it. I made so many new discoveries and found so many new things, put new connections together during the course of this. But also I was amazed at how research that I had done in the past and how other stuff, that projects that I'd worked on, how that information became more relevant in light of some of the newer stuff that I'd found on this presentation. So if you're someone who was, I assume, probably wrongly sometimes, but I assume that everyone that listens to my show is interested in truth, is interested in information. Again, sometimes I wrongly assume that. But if you're in any kind of, I don't give a fuck if you think you know everything at all. Let me tell you something. Nobody knows everything. Not even me, not anybody else. All this stuff is a constant, ongoing thing. This is now my 12th year on air. This is one of the longest running shows on the internet. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether people want to admit it or not, nobody ever seems to want to give me credit for anything. But the stuff that I don't care how, so many arrogant people. I got comments from a few arrogant people who didn't even watch the full presentation. They got part through the first part and they're already sending me emails. Oh, it's this and it's this and it's that. I didn't even respond to those people. I just didn't even email them back because I'm sitting there going, dude, that's just your arrogance talking, and that's your ego know it all. You think you know it all stuff. It's just you don't, and you got to admit that to yourself. If I can admit that to myself, and some of these other people out here who don't even have platforms, who are just sitting in their in their bedrooms on their laptop or on their phone or something. I mean, come on. Some of y'all, not all of y'all, but some of y'all need to admit that you don't know everything. And look, because I mean, I got some of these people who they watch the first 30 minutes. The first part of this presentation is 2 hours 40 minutes. I have people watch the first 30 minutes. Oh, it's this and this, and I'm going, you're wrong. You're wrong. You don't even know how wrong you are. But people, their arrogance and they think they've seen it all, think they know it all, think they've heard it all. Stuff kicks in, and they just start making assumptions without even having all the information. I've seen that a lot concerning this presentation. So I assure you. If you've seen part 1 and 2, you need to get part 3 now. It's out. It's 2 hours, 7 minutes. This is where the big bombs get dropped. This is where the big info is. So many new things that I had never even come across or heard about got found and put together for this presentation. I put so much work into this, and everybody needs to get this and buy and watch it. That's a lot of information. Each part is $10 each, and fucking David, I used to do those presentations. He'd go and fucking, I went to one of them one time back in 2009, and he was supposed to do a meet and greet, and then he found out I was there, and he canceled the meet and greet because he found out I was there. I thought that was hilarious. But he charged like $75 for like 10 hours. Literally, it was like started at like 10 o'clock in the morning and went to like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, right? And I sat through this whole fucking thing only for him to get to the end of the presentation, and his big finale after presenting all this information is the Rothschilds run everything, so you don't need to even look any farther than that. And, by that time I was well past, being told something like that. I'd already been doing my research for many years, even up to that. It's hard to believe that's already been 10 years. And, 10, 12 hour fucking presentation just to say the Rothschilds run everything. No fucking more, no information more than anybody, nothing you couldn't find in 2 seconds of doing your own research. And the motherfucker charged like $75, $100 for these tickets. So that's why I was like, you know what? I'm going to drop fucking 6 hours of fucking info. I mean, that's basically, this is the equivalent of going and seeing like a 6 hour presentation for the cost of 2 movie tickets. So it's a great deal. I feel like with the information that was in this, I could have charged way more for this, and I didn't, because I want everybody to have a chance to get their hands on this information, and it's important. Everybody needs to get this now. If you haven't gotten it yet and watch it, please spread this around, share it with people. This needs to hit a bunch of people, man. We need a lot of people to see this, and I don't want this just to be something just a few people see. This is big. I've cracked something huge here that I think some people have kind of been onto in other realms of information and research, but for whatever reason, just because the other connections weren't made obvious to them, I think it was a lot more difficult for people to. This all was just kind of one of those things again, man. The timing, the perfect timing, the synchronicity, just certain piece of information falling into my lap at certain times, and just being there at that moment, being able to put it all together like this. It doesn't happen very often. I think people have this mistaken thing that they think that you can just concoct something and pull something like this out of the air and put this together. And I promise you, I can't. Nobody can. I mean, this kind of stuff happens very rarely. The last time I did something like this is when I did that David Bowie Secret Messages series. And it was literally something like this where it was just a timing thing where all these things sort of happened all at once, and I had already been doing all this research and already known a lot of this stuff, so I was able just to put that together and put it right out. And same thing here. It doesn't happen very often, but this is just one of those perfectly primed moments where it was kind of a perfect nexus between information and stuff I already knew about, was already onto, stuff I'd already researched for years, coming into, hitting head on and colliding with new stuff and new clues and new things that I hadn't found out about. And it all started with this film, Under the Silver Lake. And the first two parts of the presentation kind of rely heavily on that. And then when you get to the third part, that's when you start to get real crazy, when I start to show you connections between things and stuff I found, and clues I found in movies that are 20-something years old and older than that, and clues in movies going back even to the 1930s. It's just insane. Thanks to everybody out there who's already gotten their copies and who's already watched and already sent me comments. People are losing their fucking minds. Well, you should. I was losing mine as I was making this, coming across this stuff. I was like, my God. And, man, I burned the midnight oil. I hadn't really slept much at all in the past week. I've got to crash and do some recoup and rest and then get back on the stick to work on Spellcasters 2 and have that out hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, all that stuff's been delayed. I haven't done any work on that front in the past month because I've been too busy with this. But when you see this whole 6-hour, 3-part presentation and you watch all through it and you understand what I'm presenting here, you're going to see why it was important. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I wish stuff like this, I wish there was stuff like this that could come onto my radar all the time that would enable me to do more things like this, but it just doesn't. I mean, this is just one of those rare moments where, again, you have a collision of new information with old information and the stuff that I've already researched and known about, and it kind of creates a perfect storm and comes together, and lightning doesn't strike like that too often, so when it does, you got to hit it and capitalize on it and get in there and put that all together so people can have that information, and hopefully it does the same for other people, and it already has. That's the amazing thing. What happens to me on the one scale and the end when I'm researching this stuff and put together, then I put it out there and it happens to other people who are on their own path of research and information, and then they email me and go, God, I was already on to some stuff like this, but you just, this just sealed it. This, people are already having synchronicities pop up with things and happen to them. There's something different about this, man. I don't know what it is. There's something different about this info. There's something different about this. This is big. This is not some reaching, grasping at straws stuff here either, man. This is some serious long-term, multi-decade thing here. And, this has been something that's been happening for a long time. And it's been hinted about. But, unless you're already on to certain other types of information, you're on to certain points of research, it's not surprising that, again, as I said, people have been onto pieces of this. No question. People have been onto pieces of what I presented here for a long time. But nobody up to this point has put all this stuff together. And like I said, the catalyst for me was just seeing that movie and all the hints that are in there. And people are continuing to find stuff and more stuff. Like I said, at the end of part 3, if I end up... I know there'll end up being more stuff I'll probably come across later. Who knows? But for now, it's just a 3-part thing. And again, it's up now in the download shop, so go and get it. Get yourself a copy of it. I got to have your support right now, folks. I need it right now more than ever. Once again, for the second month in a row, we barely limped past the finish line this month. And barely. I got to be honest with you. If we don't reach our operating cost goal at the end of this month, going into February, if we don't reach our goal again, I'm more than likely going to be out of business. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. We just have not had the support that we need to be able to continue, and it's getting worse. And I continue to put everything in the world into these projects and into these films and into this information, and I'm just not getting... many of you do support me, and I appreciate the ones who do support me, but it's just not enough. We're just not getting enough support in here right now for this to continue, and I don't see how this is going to be. I'm going to be able to continue doing this much longer if we don't get some serious support in here quick. I mean, we're already in the 14. We're almost halfway through the month of January. Our operating cost rate for this month is at 0. We have not received one single shred of support this month. I understand. If I'm not up here telling you to support my work, we don't get it. I get that. When I'm working on projects, people just don't want to support me while I'm doing the work. that's part of it. But we do need your support right now, and we need it more than ever. Again, minimum, we've got to have $300 today. We've needed this for a week. We've had leftover operating costs from the first of the month that haven't gotten covered. Please hit up our fundraising banner for the month and help us raise at least $300 today. Everybody that contributes $100 or more, you're going to get all 3 parts of the new presentation sent to you absolutely for free, so keep that in mind. If you want to find a way to support my work and get the presentation too, that's a great way to do it. And I'm just really stoked about this. I'm really fucking fired up and want you to see that. You want everybody to get their copies of this presentation and watch it. And hell, put it on the TV at your house and have screenings. Bring people over. Have a party. Get some beer and some weed and some pizza and fucking, get your friends together and call them all over. Put it on the big screen with the good sound. Watch it. Have discussions. You never know what other people are gonna. That's the thing about this, all this stuff. When I see this, when I come across this information, you never know what I'm going to glean from it. But then, on the other end of that, when you get somebody else that sees the information I present, it's already happened because I've already gotten emails from some of you out there where people are watching the information I presented and it's having a completely different meaning to them than it did to me because they're seeing the stuff that I inferred. And they're going, oh man, I didn't think about that. Well, this, and this, it really is. I can't even describe how. I don't know, man. It's just there's something different about this. It just feels different. And a lot of you that have already watched this have sent me those same comments. So that's nice to know that I'm not the only one feeling this way. There's something different about this. There's something, this is bigger than I think, a lot of the stuff, pretty much everything, to be honest with you, now that I think about it. It's kind of been that way with everything I've ever done. Every topic and every subject I've ever tackled and done film projects about have always ended up turning out to be even, bigger and crazier than I ever expected. The CMP stuff was like that, and the secret right research. That thing was just way bigger than I even thought it was when I first started encountering it. This is actually 2019. This is the 10-year anniversary of my first film on the CMP, The Secret Right Volume 1. So that's very cool. But I feel the research that I'm on to now is just light years ahead of any of the stuff I've done in the past. But all that stuff I've done in the past is very relevant to the current research. I would not have thought that. There's just so much. There's a lot of stuff that I was on to in the third installment of The Lost Secrets of Ancient America, which I never got to finish because we ran out of funding for the budget for that film, so it never got completed, never got released. And so a lot of the information that I had for that hasn't ever seen the light of day because that film was never finished. I was really shocked and amazed how some of that info played into this new presentation. And so some of the info that I had intended to be in Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 3 actually found a home in this new presentation because unexpectedly it is relevant and ties in directly to what I'm presenting in this new presentation and what I found. So I've just, man, I'm really, really excited about the prospects of what we're going to do this year with some of the information. And I'm just excited. I'm excited, man, to feel, I feel like I can't even pay attention to any of this other bullshit anymore. I'm so past paying attention to like the political shit and the Trump shit and, the Jonesy shit. I appreciate you still send me that stuff, but like somebody sent me a clip earlier today of Jones calls Trump a John Birch Society president and shills for Roy Cohn and says InfoWars is John Birch Society. And there was also a thing in there where he says, Trump's dad was just like my dad, and we were drinking from the same well. Well, Trump's dad was CIA, and we already know Alex Jones' dad was CIA and John Birch Society too. And we know the John Birch Society is a spook outfit front to back, top to bottom. 100%, there's no question about it. So that's what I was thinking when I was watching that video and laughing at that. It's like, I mean, you don't even have to expose Jones or any of these people anymore. They do the work for you. They just expose themselves left and right. Jones has already told us he's, folks, I was with the good elements of the CIA, folks. The good elements of the CIA, right? I don't know, man. I'm just so over and past all that shit. It's just not important to me anymore, really. I don't know. There's just bigger fish to fry than these asshats, and the only people that pay attention to Alex Jones and anything that he says anymore. Why do you think he says this kind of shit now? Why do you think he's now just openly talking about, I'm the good elements of the CIA, folks? Me and Trump's dad drinking from the same well. CIA. John Versati's good. I mean, he's saying this stuff now because he knows that no actual thinking individual who's ever done more than 2 seconds of their own thinking or own research pays attention to anything that he says outside of the stuff like this where he's exposing himself. And, it just proves everybody's point. The points everybody's been making, like myself and others, for years now. But aside from that, he knows that the only people that don't know he's full of shit, and rightly so, are complete and utter morons who don't do their own research, who don't do their own thinking, and that's the people he preys on. He's not a researcher. He's not somebody interested in truth. I mean, I'm not in the same, I never have been, but definitely not anymore. I mean, I don't know. I just don't, I don't even, it's just not even important to me. There are so many bigger things that so many people in the research community have been distracted by and got bogged down in. And that's why so many of those things that's been the point. That's why you have these certain talking points and these certain pieces of things that everybody wants. They try to get everybody glom onto, so everyone becomes distracted and bogged down by the same things, whether it be, the Sandy Hook stuff or 9/11 or any of this stuff where it's a rat wheel, where you never get anywhere with it. You think you're getting somewhere with it. Really what you're doing is you're just entering into circular arguments with complete and utter morons. That's what ends up happening. Think about it. Any of these issues, no matter how divisive they are, what they are, whether it be, the flat earth stuff or, anything else, they're just almost designed for people to get bogged down in these circular arguments with other morons who don't know what they're talking about. And then that just becomes what everybody puts all their energy into. Flame wars and back and forth with other idiots like themselves. All that stuff is a waste of time. And all this stuff with Jones and all his mainstream media stuff and all this has been designed. This is not about, I've said this from the beginning, this is not about taking down, this is about Jones or anybody else. This is about associating anybody and everybody who looks into truth as to being somebody who is like Alex Jones. That's the whole point of all this. And I'm just going to continue to do what I've done. And it's what I've always done. I've always stayed in my own lane. I've always stayed on my own areas of focus. I have refused to jump on board with what seem to be, talking points or topics that, whether they're coming from the CIA or whether they're coming from whoever, seem to be talking points that they try to get all the researchers and whatnot to all jump onto and become the primary focus of discussions for everybody across the board. Now, that's why I've always just avoided that kind of stuff. I mean, like the Sandy Hook stuff, that's why I never got involved with that. I knew from the jump, it didn't matter whether it's true or it isn't, that it was a honeypot and it was designed to associate truth seekers and certain people with stuff that they could use to try and get people to not believe in any of these subjects. If they can get the public to believe one thing that everybody jumps on is complete bullshit, whether it is or isn't, they know that people's mentality can then get them to apply that to other topics and issues that are real and provable and have evidence to back them up. And I'm just not going to do it. Regardless of all that, though, man, you got to see this new presentation. Over 6 hours of info. All 3 parts are up now. You got to get it now. And, do everything and anything in your power right now this month to support my work and help get some money into our fundraiser this week so I can keep everything up and running long enough to get these 2 films out. I'm hoping to have volume 1 or volume 2 of Spellcasters out sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Again, like I said, the progress has been delayed because I've been working on this other stuff. And right now I need to rest and recoup and get my energy back up so I can continue to jump back on this project, get these out, and move on to other things and other business that we have to do here this year. I anticipate there's going to be a lot of shows I'll be appearing on in the near future, doing interviews and whatnot, both for probably for this current presentation I've done, and of course with the new films that'll be coming out very shortly here in the near future. Again, for those of you who have stayed on my side and on my team, continue to support me and my work, man, I love you guys. I fucking couldn't do it without you. I'm not worried about the fucking haters and the shit talkers and the people who sit on the sidelines and never do jack shit anyway, who've never done I find those are the biggest shit talkers. You ever notice that? You never get shit talk from people who do their own work on this stuff or make their own movies or do their own. It's always people who don't do jack shit and who sit on the sidelines and are fucking spectators. It's kind of like people who watch sports. You know, people who watch professional sports are like that. You know, they've never played a fucking sport in their life, man, but they act like, oh, they know everything about running a team and coaching a team. They're experts just because they listen to fucking, whatever sports talking head. Just because you listen to sports radio 24 or sports talk radio 24/7 does not make you a sports expert. Most of those fucking guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about either, just running out of their mouths. And it's funny because the same thing applies to conspiracy research. You got so many people running around thinking they know what the fuck they're talking about, and all they're doing is repeating what they heard other talking heads say. They're not doing their own research or their own thinking on this stuff. And I just have no time for that anymore. I got no time for idiots who don't even know what it takes to do something like this, to be a one-man operation and to do all this stuff and all this work themselves and put their life on the line and put everything else in life on hold to do this for no other reason than they want to benefit mankind and see us pull ourselves out of this fucking black pit of despair that we've all gotten ourselves into. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall down that black pit of despair. I never have. I never fucking will. And that's why I do this, because I care and I love humanity and I love people. Even if they don't love me and they hate me, I love them back. And I'm here in my 12th year of broadcasting, and I'm here doing what I've been doing this long for a reason. And it's not because I'm some fly-by-night profiteer, man. I do this on fucking a shoestring. But I got to tell you, the lack of support I've gotten over the past month has been unprecedented, and it's frankly disgraceful. It's disgraceful and it's insulting. And, it must be nice to have to be able to sit back and never have to do anything on your own. You're in your own research or in your own work or anything else, and be able to just sit back and shit talk and judge and just sit there and be like, put out the movie now, put it out now. There's people, like I can just put something out that's not finished or done. It's fucking retarded. Anyway, I'm done talking about that. Look, bottom line is, it's the 14th of the month. Our fundraising thing is on zero. We need to get that motherfucker off zero and get it between $300 and $500 right now today. And we need you to go out there and get yourself some of those copies of that presentation and spread that motherfucker around right now. All right. I love you guys. We'll talk again real soon. Stay up. Keep your head up. Stay positive, and know that I'm right here with you by your side in this fight. And I care about those who are beside me and next to me in this fight. And I thank you so much. Please support me. Please help me be able to complete this fight and get this stuff done. And we'll talk again soon. Take care.